Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so very much. You did the right thing. Open your eyes and start your morning right. And it's a beautiful morning out. It's a Wednesday.
That's right. It actually looks, I'm not going to say it looks like it's going to be a bit damp, but we'll see.
You know, but at the same time, I could remember yesterday taking a drive west and while it looked or you felt that the weather was going to be damp, weather I'm going to play a trick pan way. It was green this corner, but at the same time, a little later on, it was just all with bright sunshine in the Garden City of Belmopan.
Okay.
So who knows?
So maybe that's what's happening today.
I'm feeling along the lines of that, Marlene. I'm feeling along the lines of that. But we also got some rains here in the city last night. We're not sure exactly what we should expect for today, but we'll be chit-chatting with the forecaster to tell us exactly what we should expect for today and for the next few days. Mar?
That's right. But of course, it is the first day of December.
Indeed.
Before we talk about the other season that everyone knows, today is National AIDS Day.
National AIDS Day.
So it's actually World AIDS Day. Across the globe. It's being commemorated. So I see you got your red on. I got my red on too, right?
Mine is not as popping as yours, but at the same time, I tried. I hope you got that. And what you can do as well later on this morning, if you're heading out to work or if you've got the day off and you're just going to be there at home or going to run some errands, then let's get into it and be in solidarity and as we celebrate World AIDS Day.
And of course, you know, this falls within the 16 days of activism that is currently being celebrated. It started off with the Orange Day, the day against gender-based violence, and then you have days like World AIDS Day coming in between. Similarly, we're going to see other days, including Human Rights Day and other activities that are taking place. This week is Disability Week as well.
Wow.
So, you know, this period of time is one that's packed with activities related to work that is taking place within specific vulnerable groups.
Indeed, you know, but I'm so glad that that we're able to actually reckon these dates. So people could see that, you know, in the forefront, we've got things that we're actually fighting for, causes that we're actually fighting for. But the word again, solidarity. Everybody need to be in solidarity and, of course, get on that train. And if we would like to get things, or the word is far, then, of course, we need to go together. And this is definitely a great start. I notice you're watching that Christmas tree, Marlene.
Yes, of course, because the season has officially kick-started. Now, it's interesting. When do you put up your Christmas tree?
To be honest with you, November 15th, 16th. That was when my girls
It's already up?
It's been up.
Oh, so you've been in Christmas jam for a while.
Well, I've got those two little girls at home, and they are so ready.
Yeah.
And so they did what they had to do, took it out, put it together. My sister-in-law was there helping them. And so my whole Christmas, if my lights that up.
And so what'd you do?
What I was, you know what? I actually was in my room. I was in my bed. I was actually there. And then I went outside to do something. I get something, and when I noticed it, I was like, "Hey, Christmas in this house!
Yeah,
What's going on?"
Yeah.
Then I came. Where was I? I don't remember, but I got home and I noticed Christmas tree, Christmas lights actually running across.
Yeah.
And you know what? It leads me to think, Marlene, my wife didn't wait for me to put it up. It brings to the forefront that it's not men work or female work. It's actually everybody's work because we're actually doing this thing together.
Yeah.
So if the kids they wanted it, and my wife took the initiative, and I'm so proud. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Took the initiative and said, you know what, let me put this up, and that's what's going on at my house.
Yeah. So of course it is Christmas season. I know a lot of people who did it immediately after Halloween, like that. They were in it. And it is the time to start to get festive. So
Indeed,
we're
indeed.
excited here. We have our tree on set. Of course, our tree is it's very purple. It's bright and
It's bright in
colorful.
color,
Yeah.
yes. Love the lights and a lot of purple on it. So a lot of purple on it, and Steve said, "Purple rain, purple rain."
Puts you in that mood to
as we
sing,
got in,
yeah,
as we
yeah.
got in. But it's beautiful, and we'd like to say a big thank you to Ceci Cuellar, who decorated the tree. There she is.
That's right. All
Thank
right.
you. You got us looking good this morning. I love it. That's a beautiful Christmas tree.
Yes. And of course, we're going to be continuing with some of our This is the best time, of course, to do the show.
yeah.
And looking forward to all our Christmas programming that's coming up as well.
Well,
including Gimme Five, which starts next week.
I was just gonna get there. I'm looking forward to it. Like I told you from the inception, Marlene, that Gimme Five was actually a show that I always wanted to host or be a part of, and I've got it over the last few years, and I love it so much. I love the camaraderie with people. I love that conversation with them, and I love the fact that especially when they take part, and so excited because people actually play pranks around that time. But hey, you have to be serious when it comes to your Gimme Five. When that phone ring, Marlene, you don't say hello. You say,
Gimme Five. Dame Cinco.
Dame Cinco. And of
I
course,
think those are well, if John is on, then he could translate the Garifuna version. That might be as far as we could go.
Yeah.
But we do want to say, of course, this is our annual anniversary celebration, and it's a big one for us here at Channel 5,
Indeed.
our 30th anniversary. And we are so looking forward to having everyone. It's amazing to see the people come in who are bringing in their coupons and to hear their stories and all. When they see me, they're like, you make sure I win, right?
Make sure I win. Yeah. I met some folks yesterday in Belmopan, and they were like, you know what? I've got tickets already in the pond, and so you need to pull my name out. Well, the more chances you get, the more tickets you get, the more chances you have to win.
And once again, you can get those coupons. You can download them from the website at channel5belize.com. And you can also come right here to our office on Coney Drive in Belize City, and you can pick them up, fill them out, and bring them back.
Indeed. So we've got lots going on for you. I must say that we're loving the month as well.
All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today, and let's get into our motivation. That means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. The most important relationship we will ever have in our life is with our own self. Even though we are the only ones who are present at every moment of our lives from birth onward, this relationship can be the most difficult one to cultivate. This may be because society places such emphasis on the importance of being in a romantic partnership, even teaching us to set aside our own needs for the needs of another. Until we know ourselves, however, we cannot possibly choose the right relationship to support our mutual growth toward our highest potential. By allowing ourselves to be comfortable with being alone, we can become the people with whom we want to have a relationship. Being willing to know and love ourselves and to find what truly makes us feel deeply and strongly gives us the advantage of being able to attract and choose the right people with whom to share ourselves, whether those relationships fall into recognizable roles or not. Choosing to enjoy being alone allows us to fully explore our most important relationship, the one with our true selves.
My mind sort of went all over at the start of it, and listening to it, there are a few things that stand out to me, but more so being willing to know and love know and love ourselves, because Marlene, I think for a lot of us, we're not able to. We don't know how to love ourselves, and this might not be exactly what the eye opener is saying, but I found it important to share with folks that sometimes we might not be able to, or maybe we're not able to reckon how to love ourselves. But it is important too, because to be one with yourself or your true self, it's very important. It gives you time to think. It gives you time to fathom what you've thought of, and it gives you time to make that plan with yourself. Mm-hmm. And I believe that if we're able to love ourselves, that is when we'll be able to love somebody else. Mm-hmm. And as long as we could find that, Marlene, it's a great rollout for us.
That's right.
That's how I feel about that.
That's right. That's a great eye opener for this morning, and a good reminder that even spending time alone is a way to be able to build that relation. Just like you have quality time with your loved ones,
Yeah.
you have to have that
with
quality
yourself.
time with yourself.
You time.
All right.
Indeed. All
But
right.
shifting from or eye opener.
Indeed, shifting from our eye opener, it is that time of the morning whereby we take a look at the weather. But I'll tell you what, the weather this morning is sponsored by Uno Belize.
This weather update is brought to you by Uno Belize.
We are waiting for you to jingle all the way with Uno. Get one coupon for every purchase of Belize $25 in Uno fuels, per quart of Uno lubricants, or 2 coupons per gallon. And just like that, you get a chance to win lots and lots of prizes.
All right, so while I mentioned that the weather is sponsored by Uno Belize, we've got the forecaster on duty. Mr. Rodon is on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How
All
are
right.
you?
We're doing great, but we'll be even better or greater if you tell us what the general situation is, and then we go from there.
I suppose I tell you the weather will be bad.
Well, you know.
Well, I kind of it looked that way this
Really looked
morning.
that way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So what should we expect?
Yeah, today conditions have become slightly moist yesterday evening and last night. And so we can expect sunny skies today with cloudy spells and partly cloudy skies tonight. A few light showers will affect mainly the sea, mainly offshore this morning and some coastal areas, then mainly the interior this afternoon. But by tonight, showers will become isolated.
All right. And the winds?
Winds will be light and variable at first, becoming east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots this afternoon, and the seas will be slight.
All right. So while we have it like that, then we must be, or we'll be getting some cooler temperatures. Tell us about the highs and lows.
Highs will be similar to yesterday, really. We can expect highs of 85 along the coast, 89 inland, and 75 up in the hills. For tonight, 74 along the coast, which is a little warmer than what we had this morning, 68 inland, and 62 up in the hills.
All right. So now we know. And the extended forecast, what should we expect for the next few days?
Okay, for tomorrow, we can expect mainly fair weather in the day, and in the night, there's a chance of a few showers to affect the coast. So mainly fair day tomorrow, a few coastal showers at night.
All right. And we know that we are at the end of the hurricane season. Would you say that we're in the clear?
Right, that's right, we're in the clear. We don't see anything. We know things can develop outside the season, but at this time, we don't see anything likely to develop.
All right. Thank you, forecaster Radun, there at the National Met Service. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, now you know exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
Coastal showers.
Well,
Yeah.
we said, I told you it was looking that way this morning.
I know.
So I'm prepared for that news. So it is going to be a wet one today. Do take that into consideration. And if you're going to be traveling on the roads, especially, please give yourself enough time so that you can travel safely. We've seen so many road traffic accidents. We do hope that you're paying attention to all the speed limits, wearing your seatbelts, and just being cautious for yourself, but also for others.
Indeed.
All right.
And it's that time of the morning. We move on to let you know exactly what to expect for our show for today. In the first segment, we'll be having in with us reps of the Ministry of Rural Transformation, providing us with update on achievements and the plans that they've got to move forward with.
All right. The second part of the show, as we said, it is World AIDS Day, and so we're going to have representatives of the National AIDS Commission as well as the Deputy Director of Health Services to talk about the situation of HIV in the country and what's being done to be able to help to educate people on prevention.
All right. And in the third segment for this morning, there is a new app you could download on your phone. The Ministry of Health and Wellness officially rolls out their COVID-19 app.
That's right.
What the information you could find out, how you could get it downloaded and whatnot, all that information will be shared with us in the third segment this morning.
All right, so that's what we have in store for you today. We're going to go ahead and take that first break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the work that is ongoing in the Ministry of Rural Transformation. So please stay tuned.
We
have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
Accidents on the job can result in a loss of life, which is devastating. If your loved one dies as a result of a work-related accident, you may be able to receive a death benefit from the Social Security Board. Death benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. Death benefit is a monthly payment paid to the dependents of the deceased. Dependents receive the death benefit for life from the date of their loved one's death or until they no longer meet eligibility. Want to know more about death benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience.
Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer.
Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery.
Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Shopigas, and Quartz.
Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
It's almost time when we change the drums for the Christmas bells. And you know that when Christmas season starts, we celebrate big at Channel 5. How big? It's our 30th anniversary. That's right, the Big 3-0. And this year's Gimme 5 will be packed with fun, entertainment, and big giveaways. The show starts on December 6th and runs through December 10th, starting at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Coupons are now available for 25 cents each on our Channel 5 website and at our studios on Coney Drive. Fill out your coupons and bring them into our compound. And remember, starting December 6th, when the phone rings, don't say hello, say, "Gimme 5."
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 5 Caribbean Media Awards for 2019 and 2020. Best Television News Item, Best Responsible Coverage of Children's Issues, Best Health Education Journalism, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award. with special mention by the jury in the Best Television News Item category.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Been drinking all night, feeling so high, better not drive, won't even try.
Been drinking all night, feeling so high, better not drive, ain't gon' try. Been drinking all night, feeling so high, better not drive, ain't gon' try. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. People die every day, I'm not going with ya. I'ma find my own way, I'm not going with ya. It's okay, I'll wait. Even good people make mistakes. I don't wanna realize when it's too late. Drinking and driving is never safe. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. If you're drinking and driving, I'm not going with ya. Been drinking all night, feeling so high, better not drive, ain't gon' try. Been drinking all night, feeling so high, better not drive, ain't gon' try.
And we're back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our first segment for the morning. And this one is all about the Ministry of Rural Transformation as they provide to us their update on achievements and plans for the ministry. In with us, we have the minister himself, Minister of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor and Local Government, the Honorable Oscar Requena.
Good morning.
Good morning to you,
Belize.
sir. And of course, he is being flanked by his CEO, Valentino Shell, CEO in the Ministry of Rural Transformation, et al. Good morning and welcome to both of you.
Good morning and thank you very much.
Primarily, where I'd like to start with this, my thing is always about the buy-in, so people understand what a ministry does or how it works. That's exactly where I'd like to start. When we talk about the Ministry of Local Government, Rural Transformation, what's the job there? How does this ministry work?
Well, first of all, good morning again, and thank you for the opportunity. Certainly, as you know, coming out of the general elections on November the 11th last year, the Prime Minister, appointed myself as the minister responsible for rural transformation, community development, local government, and labor. It's a very big mandate, really, when you think about particularly rural transformation, community development, it certainly involves, working with communities, rural communities across this country. The emphasis is on rural development.
Yes.
And certainly when you look at, local government, we have responsibility for, all the municipalities, all the towns and cities across the country. And then when you look at labor, we have to work with, our tripartite partners, government, the business sector, our unions, our trade unions. So it's certainly a very big mandate, but we are up to the task. We are very happy that we have completed 1 year. And I must say that, we feel very proud of our achievements. We are working hard, and we will continue to work hard to ensure that we deliver on Plan Belize to Belizeans across this country.
Exactly. See, so, and I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that, because I also wanted to go to what was it like, especially within your first year of trying to transform and, of course, deliver on what you had promised to the people.
Well, I can say to you that it's been a very rewarding experience, a lot of hard work, I must say. When we came over to the ministry, we found the ministry really, we found the staff that to a great extent, were, demoralized. To a great extent, people were not really, working very hard. They did not have that energy, and I think a lot of it had to do with the leadership of the ministry, and certainly when myself and CEO came on board, one of the first things that we did was to meet with our staff. And certainly, to share with them our vision, our goals, our objectives, and certainly to chart a way forward. We certainly had to, come up with strategies how we are going to achieve our goals that we had set out. And very importantly in this process was really to make our staff understand that they are a part of this process. So we found a way to motivate our staff, to get them engaged. Because certainly I can say to you, we happen to lead the ministry, but we have, a very good staff, technical persons with great experience, who are willing to work. But I think what was lacking was really, that motivation, that leadership, and to a great extent the oversight to ensure that what the ministry was charged with was being done on a daily basis. So to answer your question, what has it been like? It's been very rewarding. I wake up every day. I look forward to going to work. I have great energy. I want to see something positive done for our country, and that's the spirit we take. I must say that I'm very thankful and grateful that I have a great CEO. I have a great team, we have our management team. Everybody is fully energized. We share one common vision of moving the ministry and delivering to the people across the country.
And I'm glad for that insight. I question sometimes, having sat in opposition for as long as you have, and being someone from a rural community, you have seen needs for all the time that you have not been able to act upon making decisions. How much do you think that played a role in what was a quickness where your ministry hit the ground running in being able to execute projects?
Well, first of all, I must say that I come from a rural background. I grew up in a village in San Pedro, Colombia. I went to school in San Pedro, Colombia, and all my life, my career is as an educator, and I spent, over 25 years working in the rural communities. Thereafter, I got into politics, and thankfully to the people of Toledo West who gave me an opportunity. I was elected. I spent 8 years in opposition. And certainly, I know firsthand, and I understand, very well, the needs of our people in the rural areas. So certainly having spent 8 years in opposition prepared me, in having a better understanding, but also, developing, strategies, policies, strategies in how we are going to move forward, whenever I got an opportunity. And thankfully, here we are at the Ministry of Rural Development. And I must say that in 1 year, I'm very proud to say that we have completed our strategic plan for the ministry. Wow. Very important. When we went to the ministry, there wasn't any strategic plan. That is significant because that really creates the roadmap in how we are going to move forward for the next 4 years. Very significant for us.
And that's, CU, I want to hear from you with that. It seems that what part of your action plan, your immediate action plan, was to focus internally so that you could get the team moving in the right direction. Let's talk about that process.
Sure. I wanted to say, the question was what was the process like to come into the ministry and take over, and what is our mandate as a ministry?
Yeah.
And we simplify it for our staff. Is we're here to serve the people, and our objective or our common goal is to make life better for Belizeans, whether we're dealing with labor and the private sector, whether we're dealing with local government and municipalities, whether we're dealing with rural development and villages and rural areas. Everything must tend towards improving the lives of Belizeans. That's it. And the process of doing the strategic plan, as the minister mentioned, yes, we do have a plan. Now we have a roadmap. But the process of inclusion, the participation of the staff, and we included everybody in the process. And so that gave them a chance to share some of the ideas that they had that they were never had the opportunity to contribute to what direction the ministry should take. And that alone, so the product of having the plan, a written plan, is important, but the process of having people feel that their voice is important, empowering them to be able to contribute to the entire ministry is also an extremely important exercise. And so when you have people participating in that way, feeling included in that way, they begin to own the mission of the ministry. And I think that that's what we have done. And also, Marlene, you asked about how did we hit the ground running. And I think I have a very similar background as the minister. I am from the Toledo district. I am from a rural community. And I have spent my entire life coming up from deprived environment, low socioeconomic environment. And I can see, and I have lived it, I've experienced it. So as soon as I got the opportunity to do something, I did it. And we did it. And that's kind of what it is. And so we took over the ministry. And what do the people need? They need clean water. They need better roads. The farmers need support. We need to improve and strengthen the governance of our communities and our towns and so forth. We need to ensure that the labor environment in the country is conducive for economic growth. So we took it on and we did it. And so that's kind of the whole approach, is that if you know that you can improve the life of someone by your action and by your decision, and you are given that opportunity to do so, then you must do that with immediate urgency. And so that's what we did. And I think just the drive itself that we bring, both as individuals, but also from the mission-oriented approach that we take, has also inspired the staff to jump on board and say, okay, I think we're going to get somewhere now. And that has made a significant difference for us.
Very often when we have you on, we are unable to cover everything in your portfolio because it is so big. Yes. But I do want to try to get in some of the highlights as much as possible. And we can start, for me, I think, with rural development.
Sure.
This is I think, as CEO pointed out, when you look at some of the basic needs, one of the things very often, and we're city-based, so we're probably guilty as well, but we forget that, is it half or over half of this country reside in rural communities?
Over half.
Over half of this country.
Yes.
And so that's the level of persons who require to have access to things that people in urban areas take for granted.
Exactly.
Let's talk about how you took that approach, because when the need is so great, prioritizing who gets access first can be a challenge.
Right. Well, I'm glad you raised that, Marlene, and certainly, yes, we have well over 55% of our population is rural-based. And I want to say to you, CEO said it very clearly. Our mission was really to make life better for our people, with a focus, with an emphasis on the rural area. Over the years, the rural areas have been abandoned and neglected. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, my colleagues, you know, don't understand, you know, why I have that passion, why I have that drive to fight for the rural area. But I understand it fully well because we live it out there. And I'll give you a perfect example. We take for granted, you know, just get up in the morning, you know, you get in your car, you drive, you go to your office. I want to look at the experience in Machakilha. When we got into government, the first thing that we did was to visit Machakilha. We had myself and CEO and our team went there. We met with the leaders, and the leaders impressed upon us, gentlemen, ladies, we need our road. This is very important.
Yeah.
Students are getting up in the morning at 3:30.
Yeah.
They have to walk for 2 hours in mud and water to catch a bus in Dolores. Then they go to school. Then they return back in the evening. They're not getting home until 7 o'clock in the night. Now, having a road is going to make a significant difference to improve the lives of our people. And that is why we have placed emphasis on ensuring that, you know, that is a priority. You know, completing that road. I'm happy to say that we are only 3/4 of a mile away from completing it. The material has already been, you know, excavated. It's ready. It's just the weather that was holding us back. We are going to complete that road for those people. Water. You know, people get up in their homes, they turn on the faucet, they can get water. People in these rural communities, sometimes they have to walk, you know, miles. You know, they spend a lot of time, a lot of productive time that can be used otherwise, you know, studying or engaging in other productive activities. They have to be worrying about going to fetch water. You know, a lot of times water that is not healthy, you know, that is not clean. So our emphasis is really, you know, if we have, for instance, in Toledo West right now, we have 5 communities that still do not have water. We are working diligently. That becomes a priority.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, really, it's about helping people to live, you know, a decent life, helping our people to be able to live healthy, helping our people to be able to have access to educational opportunities. Because when you meet the basic needs of children, when you meet the basic needs of, you know, their parents, they have more time and more energy to be able to, you know, to focus on other important things, such as education, such as, you know, working to, you know, establish, you know, productive activities so that they can generate an income to improve the lives of their families.
Well, let's talk about the, because, you know, because a lot of people might still say, but, you know, it's taking some time. Talk about the difficulties of having to push a road from point A to point B, having to get water in these areas.
Right.
Is it a difficult process?
It's a very difficult process. To start off with, we all know the economic condition in which the last government left, you know, our country. Very, very difficult. I mean, we were borrowing $1 million a day. We all know that that was not sustainable. You know, so it became a very difficult challenge. Well, one of the things that we did is, with the little resources that we were able to get to our ministry from the Ministry of Finance, we created a roadmap and we said, here, we have 10 things that we need to get done. But out of the 10, we have 3 that are priority and we are going to focus on those things. That is the kind of activity, that is the kind of planning that, you know, we did at our ministry. And that is why today, I'm happy to say that with the limited resources, if you look at, you know, social media, because a lot of time we promote the work that we do on social media, we have impacted, you know, the lives of people across this country in the rural areas. You know, in all the districts, we are drilling wells, for example, for farmers who never had an opportunity to be able to have water because they're engaged in vegetable production. They have, you know, cattle, you know, and other agricultural activities. They never had water. They are now getting access to water. You know, many of the communities where the water systems were not functioning, you know, we have restored back those systems and people are having access to safe, clean, potable water. Farmers, you know, in the Toledo district, we had farmers' roads that were abandoned for the last 15 years. In the first year, we have opened up these farmers' roads. We are now moving where we are, you know, rocking these roads so that farmers can get to their farms. Why is that important? Because we believe that we must create an opportunity for our people to be able to help themselves. We have to move away from this dependency syndrome. You know, a lot of times, you know, somehow, you know, a culture has been created that people are waiting, for something to be given to them. I'm always reminded by a teacher in Laguna, Mr. Samuelak, and I'm going to call his name. He often says, you know what? The pantry is at the farm. So all the people want is their road to be fixed so that they can go and work, produce, feed their families, and sell the extra to be able to generate an income. That's the kind of, environment that we want to create. That's the kind of environment that we want to promote. Productivity, self-reliance, and really a culture of where people can say, you know what, I can take the lead in making, life better for my family and for my country.
Yeah, if I can underscore, you see, when we say the rural areas were neglected, that's precisely what we mean. How can you have a government for the last 13 years not see these needs out there in the rural sector where more than half of our people live, man? How can that be? And not only that, they had money to do something about these things and never did it. All these farmers' roads where people go and produce could have been fixed a long time ago. These water systems that have broken down, abandoned, people drinking, or I don't know, I hope they weren't drinking, but some people I'm sure do, these brackish water that is untreated, unfiltered. Right now we still have communities drinking raw water from the river.
Yes.
So when we say neglect, and also the management of these systems, and then the running of the villages through the village councils, reports not being produced, no plans, no implementation, no energy, no drive, and yet you have half of your population under this type of lethargic condition. How can you talk about development if that is the condition in which you have your people living? And so that is what we are trying to transform. And so when we went to San Vicente the last time, the alcalde and the chairman said, we produce a lot of things here, a lot. We have cattle, we have cacao, we have beans, we have corn, we have cardamom, we have pepitos. But we have to carry these things on our backs to bring it to the village where there's a road, and then we take it over to Guatemala to sell. That need was there, and we were in Sunday Wood. The chairman was telling us, I asked him, how do you bring out the rice that you are starting to produce again? He said, well, I put 2 on the horse and 1 on my back in order to bring 3 bags. And when I bring 3 bags at a time, and then I go back and I come back and I go back until I complete the 60 bags that I need to take out. How is it that we are doing that? So we are going to build a farmer's road for these people so that they don't have to do that anymore. And their production can be more efficient, and that they can help themselves. And that's what people are willing to work. But that's what you need a government for, that to support the people in their own endeavors. And that's what this is about.
You're talking, and I can reflect back, especially the education portion, where we have documented, where we've documented what teachers go through, what children go through to just get access to basic education. And I always see it as, it's like everybody else gets to start at mile 5 and mile 10, and we start at and they start at mile 0. But before we stay on that point, we all have a close connection with the South, a deep love for the South. But I'm sure people watching are saying, well, what about the other villages, Minister Requena? You're from Toledo West, so you're focusing there. So how widespread are these actions?
Let me clarify that. No, that's why I think I said earlier that whilst I come from the South, we try to be very fair, and what we try to do is to ensure that whatever resources we have, that we distribute them in a very equitable manner.
Okay.
And that's why we said, if you were looking at the images, we were working last 2 weeks. We were working in Orange Walk, where we drilled over 13 wells for farmers. 18 wells. Now, that is significant. That is significant. Now, not only in Orange Walk, we have been in the Cayo district, in the Belize district, in the Stan Creek district, in Toledo. So we make sure that we serve everybody. That is our mission. And I always, I have a CEO who, is always on the ball and ensures that, we provide equal opportunities for everybody across this country.
No, that's a very important point, because the first thing we did when we came is we went to Sartaneja, for instance. Sartaneja is a large village, And their system had been down for 2 years before we got there. And nobody came to see them. Nobody bothered to help them fix their system. And so we have fixed that system, for instance. And it's up and running. The water filtration system, the reverse osmosis system is back on track. The people are getting clean, healthy water you can drink right off the top, and you're good. But 2 years before that, that system was down. Nobody bothered to fix it. And so that's what we did. And so you go across the country, and that's what we continue to do.
I'll give you an example. We had Shunush,
yes,
for example, that was abandoned. You know that Shunush, they invested over $1 million in a reverse osmosis system. You know, that was right before the general elections of 2008. You know, my understanding is that about 6 months to a year after the election, that system collapsed. Can you believe that 12 years went by in which the last government was, you know, running this country, and they did not lift a finger to help those people? Right now, we went there, we had to do some emergency work to restore back water so that the people could have water, and we have a project right now that is online. We are waiting for that, you know, to be able to, you know, give a complete overhaul to that system in Shunush. But that is only one example of many other systems across this country that, you know, we have been able, you know, to get up and running that were abandoned.
I've got to say,
let's. I just want to ask as we move. What would you say is the accomplishment? Because I want to get into especially labor and local government.
Sure. Yes.
What would you say is the accomplishment that you are most proud of having implemented in the past year?
So far.
I am going to say to you that our greatest accomplishment in rural development is just being able to provide safe, clean, potable water to our people in the rural areas. You know, to be able to create opportunities for people to be more productive. You know, also our ability to be able to, you know, get a lot of our farmers' roads that were abandoned, you know, up and running again. You know, we have also, you know, with the support from the Ministry of, you know, Infrastructure, Development and Housing, we have been able to upgrade, for example, the streets in San Pedro, Colombia, you know, and we are moving on to other communities. So these are some of the greatest accomplishments. But I would also say, just as CEO said, our ability to bring our staff together, to, you know, re-energize our staff, our ability to get them engaged, you know, to get them to understand and appreciate their role in the development of this country. I think that's a very great accomplishment.
So you know, I've got to throw this out. Your ministry is one of those that must be connected to nearly all the ministries, because when it comes to your ministry, it has a lot to do with education and educating the children in that particular area. The same with tourism. But I want to go to education, because more than half of our population lives in rural areas. We're in a pandemic. Not everybody has access to internet or access to electricity, but the children must be able to learn. What's your level of alertness at this particular point, or even a level of worrisome at this particular point that some of them might be left behind?
Go ahead, Sue.
This is. I was coming to that because we're talking about roads and water but there are still, especially in the south, villages without electricity. I think we have at least 26 of them. And as the minister was talking earlier, you know, we take for granted that we can put on a light switch and turn on the water tap, and you know, it's good. We were just down south last weekend, like a couple of days ago, and you know, we were talking to young people there and, like, you know, joking with them, like, how do you call your girlfriend? So like, well, I can't, because, like, you know, there's no internet, there's no telephone communication, there's no electricity, right? And so we are working on a current plan together with the Department of Energy on an electrification, a national rural electrification program for communities that still do not. We still have at least 2 or 3 in the Orange Walk district, and the rest are in Toledo. And so we have mapped them out. We have visited all of them, every single one of them, including San Benito Poite, that is so far off. And so together with the Department of Energy and the support of the European Union, we now have a plan, and we're going to begin to electrify these villages.
Using renewable energy.
Using renewable energy. And so we're setting up these microgrids that runs just like the BEL lines, looks and feels the same way, except the source is the sun, right? And so we are also in communication with the telecommunications company, both BTL and Smart. They are waiting for power to come into the area, and then which will enable them to set up their towers and their cell sites, and we will be able then to bring communication as well as the internet, especially for education. Because in rural areas where people don't have easy access to these things, the children, in terms of their education, are being left behind. And so this is something that we are also concerned about. And you were asking about our accomplishments too, and one of it is the reorientation of what the Ministry of Rural Transformation or Rural Development is about. In the past, they have focused entirely just on water. But rural development is development in its broadest sense. It's about education, it's about utilities and
access to health.
Access to health and infrastructure and roads and agricultural development, ecotourism, and all of these things that promote the life and well-being of people in these sectors. So this is what we are now doing. And I have been talking to the United Nations Development Program about redesigning a national rural development strategy for us to be able to do these things. So there are, I mean, you were asking, how did the first year go? I didn't feel how the first year went because we are so busy every day. It just went like 12 hours in a clock or 24 hours in a day. 1, 2, 3, and it's the whole year gone already. But there's more, and we are going to keep at it relentlessly until we are unable to do so any further.
But I just wanted to go back to the point on education because, and you said it right, that, as a ministry, we have to collaborate and work with other ministries, and precisely that is what we do. We have a very good working relationship with the other ministries, with my cabinet colleagues. I'm particularly grateful to Minister Francis Fonseca for his great support, in education. He has always had a passion and a love for education, and he has been very consistent with his support to us in the area of education. And as CEO said, currently we are working along with the Ministry of Education on a plan, with the service providers, BTL and Smart, to roll out. In fact, we already have, some of the schools in the rural areas that are benefiting from, internet services. But we want to ensure that we can expand that, to be able to reach out to everybody. And currently there's a program that they are working on to be able to ensure that students can have access. As you know, right now, we are faced with this pandemic. We are also in the transition process in trying to get back our students back into school, because we can all agree that our students have lost significantly over the last almost 2 years. So there's a great amount of work that has to be done to try to help our students to be able to get back. But that is at the forefront of our agenda, to ensure that we can provide support to our students to get back to school and provide great opportunities for them in the rural areas, as CEO said, in relation to telecommunication and electricity.
Well, using that point of technology to jump off, I think it's a great transition into one other area of your portfolio with labor. And we've had the labor department with us quite a bit to be able to talk about some of the upgrades there. Yes, and let's talk about how significant this is.
Well, the labor department provides services. A lot of it is labor advice to the general public. That's one aspect. And I think that one of the first things we noticed when we took over is that there was a poor allocation and deployment of the staff. We had 5 here and 1 here and none here, and it was just messy. So we streamlined that. So we put officers where they should be, senior officers where they need to be. Belize City is, of course, a huge area. There was no labor officer in San Pedro, which is a huge commercial area. There was no officer in the free zone, when it's a huge, we have over 200 businesses there. And of course, workers have questions. They want to ensure that they're treated fairly. So that's the first thing we did, is kind of mapped out, where the needs are and how our staff are deployed, and then we reorganized it and said, okay, we need to send people here and we need to send people there. And so we kind of did that throughout the entire country.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing we did. And then after that, we began to see, you know, what are the issues that the Labor Department is dealing with. A lot of the important standing committees were not in place. The Labor Advisory Board, the tripartite body that looks after the registration of employers, organizations, and trade unions, the Labor Complaints Tribunal, which will hear complaints from workers, you know, against their employers. Those were not there, and so we had to redo all of those standing bodies as well, all fully appointed, all fully in place. The Labor Tribunal has now its set of procedures in place. It's like it's a quasi-judicial body that you know, if you have a complaint against an employer, you take it to the body, and they will hear the case and rule whether in favor or against. And so that is now up and running, for instance. So you know, those things we've also done. But we've also been working with the unions themselves and the employers to work out their collective bargaining agreements. We've overseen quite a few of them already. We were able to support the Port of Belize and the Christian Workers Union in getting a collective bargaining agreement for their administrative staff. We're currently overseeing a discussion between the port and the CWU on the stevedores matter. That one is a little bit more difficult, but again.
But you are involved.
We are definitely involved. We're most
You know, you've heard allegations otherwise that the labor hasn't, the ministry hasn't been as involved as they should be.
Yes, I mean, we see the reports in the media, but we know what we're doing, right? We don't come out and counter everything that comes out in the media. We are involved. We're fully involved. We're using all the apparatus available under the Labor Act to try to deal with that matter. And so that one is a little bit more difficult, but it is in the interest of the employer, it is in the interest of workers, it is in the interest of the country that matter is dealt with. And so we're doing everything we can to try to get to some resolution on that matter. So the talks are ongoing, and hopefully we will keep at it until we can come out of the
So there were 3 CBAs signed.
Yes. There was one with I think the energy workers.
Energy workers.
Yes.
You know,
I also wanted to say, if you allow me, Marlene, to also say that one of our other achievements at the Ministry of Labor was our temporary employment permit platform that has gone fully online. You know, prior to us coming, you know, over to the ministry, you know, people had to actually go in and physically take in their application forms. We have now, you know, digitized that entire process. You know, and we have reduced the time. You know, prior, I think we were looking at about 21 days for people to be able to, you know,
months in some instances.
You know, in some instances, months to have their temporary employment permits processed. We have now reduced that to 7 days.
Wow.
You know, and it's fully, you know, electronic, with the exception of payment, where, you know, people have to still physically go in and pay. But we are working on that. CEO is working very diligently to ensure that the entire process becomes digitized. So that is significant for us.
And you also have your employment services where people can look for jobs.
Absolutely.
And
I also
post
wanted
jobs.
to share that. Yes, our employment services, you know, platform where, you know, employers can upload, you know, what jobs, what positions, you know, skills they're looking for. Where we have, you know, potential employees also uploading, you know, what qualification and skills they also have. And we're looking at a process where they can, you know, match and, you know, be able to, you know, become gainfully employed.
Yeah, and we're looking at improving it. We have deployed it for almost a year now, and there are plenty of room for improvement, and so we're going to revise that.
And people are matching on with jobs on the site?
Yes, but it's still done. There's some manual aspects to it, and I think we want to get rid of that part so that it's automatic.
I think it's also important to say that when it comes to labor complaints, you know, in the past, you know, labor complaints would be, you know, lodged at our ministry, and it would take months and years for resolutions. We have seen now where that process has now been, you know, expedited, you know, where people, you know, come in, they make their complaints, and they are being dealt with, you know, as we speak.
Yes, and it's interesting. I don't really have the numbers right now, but thousands of dollars have been paid over to workers as a consequence of the intervention of labor officers.
Wow.
And so every month I get a report, and I see, you know, I see 5,000 was paid here, 15,000 was paid here, 20,000 was paid this month over. And so, you know, the people have legitimate complaints.
Yeah.
And they need someone to mediate that and look after that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the disputes between employer and employee is simply a misunderstanding. And so our labor officers are mediating these things. And these are not easy matters to deal with, but they mediate them.
Well, there's
and they
a
get
lack of
resolution.
knowledge and understanding of what governs, of how we're governed, especially with the Labor Act. And I think that's something, you know, we're talking about the last year, but moving forward. I can't let you leave.
On the Labor Act, though, on the Labor Act, I think that this is very, very important because
before you kick us out,
poked quite a few bears there, right? Yeah?
The complaints management system is also something we're digitizing.
Yeah.
Where right now you come in as a worker or as an employer, you make a complaint or you ask for some grievance to be addressed. It's written down, and you know sometimes the papers are lost. We are going to digitize that process. As a matter of fact, we have already begun the process to do that, so that everything is logged. Which day you came in, which office you visited, which officer met with you, what your complaint was.
So there's tracking.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's complete tracking.
Yeah.
And so if there's an officer goes on leave or gets sick, another officer can pick it up.
Yeah.
Right where it left off. You can also know where your case is in the process. And so, and on top of that, you will not have to come to the office to make your complaint. You can just be in your village, because some people work, like, let's say you live in San Hill, but you work in San Pedro.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you come home and you know you feel like you weren't paid what you were due.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go back to San Pedro
to make that complaint.
or you don't have to come to Belize City. You sit in your home, make your complaint, and you will get a response.
Yeah.
And so that process is being completely digitized.
Let's talk about the upgrade of the labor laws.
Right.
I know this is a huge task to undertake.
Certainly, and I am happy that you raised that, Marlene, because just last week, I took to cabinet, you know, a cabinet paper in which we sought, you know, approval from cabinet for the Labor Act to be, you know, completely revised. You know, and that is significant for us.
When was the last revision?
Well, the last revision, there were
Overhaul.
revisions that were done in 2011. But you know, when we look at how the way the revisions were done, they were done in a very ad hoc manner. And that is why we at the Ministry of Labor felt, you know, together with our technical team, you know, that, you know, it, and certainly not only us at the Labor Department, but, you know, employees, you know, the business community, everybody saying, you know what, it is time for us to review, to have a comprehensive review of the Labor Act. And that is why, you know, that mandate has now been given by Cabinet. And, you know, we are well on our way in setting up.
What's the timeline?
The timeline, we are looking at 1 year.
Okay.
We're looking at 1 year to have a complete, you know, overhaul of the Labor Act. And of course that involves, you know, a very major process, because you know we will have to engage all our stakeholders, you know, throughout this process of reform.
Now, Minister, also in the last cabinet brief, we heard about the move towards the $5 minimum wage, a huge point in the campaign for your administration.
Yes.
Part of what you know you were championing.
Yes.
Many are very skeptical it's possible.
Yes.
I say, you know, how do you make $5 out of 15 cents?
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to ask you to speak to that, because just yesterday, you know, he was engaged, you know, in several meetings to kickstart this process. Allow me to just say that yes, you know, at Tuesday's cabinet meeting, again, we were given, you know, the mandate, you know, as the Ministry of Labor, to put in place, you know, the mechanism to get this going, because this was a campaign promise that we made to our people on the Plan Belize, and we are going to deliver on it. Okay, CEO?
Yes, the part of the overall process of reviewing the Labor Act, doing the comprehensive review, is that it's part of economic development and economic growth. You know, if you want investors to come in, your laws have to be clear, your laws have to be updated, because labor is a significant portion of industry and the economy. So we need to bring that up to speed. But if I don't, you know, I think everybody has noticed the drive of this administration. We are intent on growing the economy. We are, and of course, once we are past this pandemic, the figures are going to keep going. I mean, we grew 15% this last quarter. That's significant. And we have to keep growing, you know, because our population is also growing. And so the drive that the government has, we are confident that we will improve the lives of these Belizeans. We will build a prosperous country. And when the wealth is generated, it must be distributed both to the entrepreneur and the investor and the worker. So, but in addition to that, we have you know, the loss of buying power has been significant over the years.
Yeah.
So while the minimum wage is $3.30, you know, 10 years ago, it's not really $3.30 if you factor in inflation.
Yeah.
Right? And so all you're doing really is bringing everything back up to speed. And so it's important. But there are also, I mean, this is a huge discussion that we're going to have. But, but there are several sectors of the economy already that are paying far above the minimum wage. They don't even bother with the minimum wage because they want the best worker. And you want the best worker, you provide the best incentive. Right? Agreed. So there's a significant portion of the economy where they should be paying the minimum wage, but they're paying more. Simply because they are trying to grow their business and they want the right people inside their business.
All right, well, we are out of time.
We're out of time.
And I know that we tried to pack it. I keep the portfolio too big, man.
We didn't touch local government.
Local government.
National, international, and regional communications.
That's right.
So there are a lot of things definitely that we hope that upon your next visit, we'll be able to discuss.
Well, if you invite us, we come back.
Well, we're thankful, Minister, and of course, CEO. Thank you guys so very much for joining us this morning and sharing with us the work that your ministry is doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you, Belize.
It's always a pleasure.
We're about to take a break. When we come back, though, yes, today is actually World AIDS Day, but there are so many discussions we need to have about that, and of course, how we're dealing with the COVID-19 situation with folks who are actually suffering with that. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, though you have lain among the pots, yet shall you be as the wings of a dove covered with silver and her feathers with yellow gold. In April of 1980, I made my first trip to Belize and spent a week sharing the good news of our gospel with our dear friends at Big Falls, where I learned it rained 161 inches a year, and I think we got all 161 inches that week. At the end of our ministry there, a dear farmer friend by the name of Tony invited us to his home for a delicious Belizean meal. His home was located right on the banks of the Big Falls River. We had to walk a long way to get there, and with all the rain and mud, one could not but wonder how anyone could stay clean in such an environment. Yet after the meal, I walked outside to see his beautiful young daughter standing near the river, dressed in a white dress without spot or wrinkle. Amazed, I thought, if a person can stay that clean in such a dirty, rainy, muddy environment as this, then why can't God's children learn to stay clean in a dirty world? Our Bible verse for the day assures us that we can. While we journey through this life, we often find ourselves living among the pots of wickedness and lawlessness and brokenness and drunkenness and darkness. However, it gets better higher up. The psalmist says it best, though you have lain among the pots, yet shall you be as the wings of a dove, covered with silver and her feathers with yellow gold. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
This holiday season, give your home the ultimate digital experience with NextGen. New and existing customers can take advantage of our holiday promotion on any of our affordable service plans. Sign up or bundle cable TV and internet and receive free service installation or reconnection and 1 month free of any acquired service. Don't forget, HBO Max is now available to NextGen bundled customers with 40 megabytes internet or higher. Get a chance to enter our grand holiday raffle when you update your account at any of our branch locations. Our raffle will be drawn live on our Facebook page on December 24th. For more information, contact us at 0800 222 5388 or message us on Facebook or WhatsApp at 662-6365. NextGen, the preferred service provider for the ultimate digital experience. Easier ways to connect, create, and share.
I was officially tasked by my work to attend the first barbershop training, and I found out that it's a really refreshing thought. It helps a lot. It gives you a fresh look at life. It gives people a chance to develop. It gives people a chance to grow. It gives people a chance to be themselves, and it helps them to grow as a person. For me, what I took the most from this session was the fact that sometimes we try to give rules and regulation to our kids growing up, like boys shouldn't cry. Certain things are just for girls. Certain jobs are just for boys. And we kind of hold back young persons from reaching to their full potential.
It's key for me to understand that gender-based biases are real. It's something that I will take and convert into my knowledge and make sure that I push out when it comes to offering these services here at the Department of Youth Services.
I'll be committing to working with my kids, working with my friends, working with the young persons that I come in contact with to put an end to domestic violence, gender-based violence, and violence against young people on a whole.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
We're back and we're moving into our second conversation for today. As we said, we are commemorating World AIDS Day. And we have with us on set to tell us all about the situation, we have Dr. Francis Murray, who is the Deputy Director of Health Services with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And we have Enrique Romero, who is the Director of the National AIDS Commission. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning and welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning and thanks for having us today.
Well, I'll start off with the first question I asked you. I was saying that, you know, every year on World AIDS Day, we take stock of how we're doing as a nation and how we're doing across the world. And my first assumption was, well, with social distancing, our number of new infections must be down, right?
Right.
So has COVID helped us in mitigating new infections of HIV?
Well, like I was saying earlier, John and Marlene, for 2020, the Ministry of Health did register a lower number of new infections. I believe it was like about 130, where in the past 5 to 7 years we have been averaging 225, 230.
Wow.
But likewise, in previous years, pre-COVID years, the tests done annually by Ministry of Health and civil society has been like around over 40,000 tests. And in 2020, we had a little over 20,000 tests. So you could see as well the direct correlation with the tests and,
So
the,
you
and the
test
infection.
half the number you usually do,
and we got
you
half
detected half the number of new infections.
Yeah,
so that's not necessarily a decline.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. So to add to that, it's like you're saying, I mean, we've been almost 19 plus months now into this. And the concept goes that we've been asking persons to stay home. And we've gone through, currently still in this third wave, we've had various surge plans being updated and adapted within our health facilities. And a lot of groundwork into screening and testing of the communities and persons at risk, or what we refer to as key populations, has not been ongoing, or the machine has not been fueled as what we would have wanted to compared to previous years. And so staying home and us having to shift the various timelines. For example, we would open our clinics from 8 to 12, which were previously from 8 to 5 in the evenings. We would have access to services, has been also a determining factor. Our partners have been trying to be out there doing community screening, but with the risk of being infected within the communities. And so the health fairs that we had,
COVID.
Because of COVID, I mean, we would have health fairs continuously in our facilities. Either we celebrate Diabetes Day, Obesity Day, Hypertension Day, and we offer all these health fairs. So part of those comprehensive care services is part of what the HIV team, which boils down to 1 or 2 persons, would be out there also screening. And in June we have the regional testing day, and which is another activity. And so those testing days have been set aside because of the surges of cases and us not putting or exposing our staff members out there to being infected by COVID. So the numbers have gone down. The update that we had given to the NAC was 130 last year. The real figure, the final one is 193, which is basically 57 below the previous year.
2020?
2020. So in 2019 we had about 252 to 55.
Wow.
And in 2020 we had 193 at the closure of the year. Up to now, I think because we have cut-off periods when you screen, up to this year, 2021, we are at 130, which has been basically 50% of the baseline 2019, 2018.
So what
and
I
the
hear
testing,
from you is that it's hard to use the numbers of 2020 and 2021 as a real gauge as to where we are with managing, especially new infections within the country.
That's correct. And just to mention, as follow-up to Dr. Mori, access to testing and services pre-COVID has not been where we want it to be. So and to answer your question in terms of with the COVID now pandemic, double trouble, you know, it puts an extra barrier on persons accessing testing and healthcare services. So the National Health Commission and the Ministry of Health is one of our biggest implementing partners in the National Health Commission. We recently developed our new strategic plan, 2021-2025, and the plan obviously incorporates new strategies, innovative strategies, practices that have been proven to work globally and regionally in an effort to scale up the access to testing and services, in particular to address issues of COVID. For example, we are looking to pilot HIV self-testing. So in pandemics like COVID and maybe future pandemics, you know, that's a modality that can allow us to, for persons to still have access to testing. We're looking also at, for example, one of the complaints from persons with HIV and AIDS has been that I don't want to go every month to the Ministry of Health to pick up my medications because I expose myself.
Because they're high risk.
Exactly,
for
high risk.
COVID.
Exactly. So we have been in discussion in the Ministry of Health in terms of multi-month dispensing, you know, based on adherence and case management. We're looking at, you know, you get the medications for 3 months, for 6 months. So we're looking at, and like I said, these are some of the things that have worked in countries like Barbados, Bahamas, Jamaica, which we have adopted and adapted in our new strategic plan. So these are some of the things that we plan to roll out starting next year with our new grant from the Global Fund.
So try making it easy for people to actually access their medication.
That's correct.
And not having to expose themselves.
And not necessarily with a Ministry of Health facility. We have, for example, Belize Family Life Association, we have Go Belize, that are civil society organizations who have experience in working with key populations. And by key populations, we mean, men who have sex with men, transgender persons, sex workers, so they have the experience of working with these persons. So we're utilizing them a lot to provide the critical support
to the work of the ministry. This is also being cognizant that the challenges of the community who are infected and affected, we have to trust them.
I was going to
and
ask
so
that.
it's like, I mean, I can only, I use the viral load as a threshold to see that you're adherent to medication. And that person who has viral suppression, we were talking about our viral load not being detected.
Okay.
And so those persons you can trust, or you can work with them. While the other remaining, which would be the remaining 1,000 persons, that challenge is still there, because you would be giving them medications, a 3-month stock, and when you go to, because our team have tried to do as much house visits as well, within the pandemic and out of the pandemic on weekends. I mean, they make themselves accessible to certain persons who are affected. And so they would provide the medications, and then they go back. It's like being stuck like on a shelf, like how you have your,
And that's one of the things I hear. It's a difficult situation to maneuver, like all things COVID.
Right.
A person with HIV is at higher risk for severe COVID if they get infected because of a suppressed immune system. Getting the medication is one thing, but the way you take it, how you take it, and that adherence is key. I know the Ministry of Health has had a very active, a lot of people don't know, adherence counselors that used to go out and see the families and ensure that nutrition and medications being taken. Is that what you're referencing, that trust that now you have to place instead of having that direct one-on-one contact?
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the trust is like, you're diabetic, I give you your medications, I give you, let's say you're on metformin, 3 tablets a day, that's 180 tablets a month.
Wow.
If I give you 3 months dosage, that's 360, about 720, somewhere around there, or a rough math, sorry. I'm sorry, about 600. So I'm giving you that amount of tablets, and to a certain point, I'm cutting off what another person would need in the event that you say you want to prevent stacking out, or you want to ensure that this person is taking his medications. So we introduced the concept of adherence counselors supported by the Global Fund grant in 2016. And so we had 2 in Belize City. We now have 1 in Orange Walk. We have 1 in San Ignacio, Belmopan, and 2 in Dangriga, where we also have social workers. So their concept is to work with TB and HIV patients, not exclusively HIV, but they're also, their terms of reference grows bigger because they can be used in our current scenario. They must also work with diabetic patients, hypertensive patients across the board in health education. But their scope of work is to advocate for adherence to medications. And so not necessarily, the Ministry of Health does not provide food or nutrition. That's out of our scope of work. It's not in our budget as well.
But it is important to encourage them that they're having good nutrition.
Yes, and that's part of what we can do. We've tried to modify a concept, so what we're trying to implement is that every single person who's affected by HIV sees the medical officer, sees the social worker, sees the adherence counselor, is seen by a nutritionist, is seen by the psychiatric nurse at least once or twice a year, is also, the lab technician also talks about adherence, and also the pharmacist talks about adherence. So in guiding the person through what you call comprehensive care, that person by itself should see at least 5 or 6 persons of our staff when accessing services.
Wow.
So that's a main goal, for us to drill or what you call knock into that person's head. Listen, we're here, we're trying to provide services, but the key issue, the basis of controlling HIV numbers or your viral load is adherence to medications.
You were going to say it, Enrique?
Yes, I just want to add that in terms of the layers of support that the Ministry of Health has, in our current grant, we explored what we call the peer navigators attached to to civil society organizations. So in our new grant, we have increased the number of peer navigators, because in this current grant, I think we only had 2 navigators. And this is a model that has been proven to work in Jamaica. So we adopted the protocols for peer navigation from the Ministry of Health in Jamaica.
Okay.
So in our new grant, we should be having 50 new peer navigators. I believe 9 of them will be attached to Belize Family Life Association, and another 6 to the CSO hub, Go Belize.
Okay.
And again, their scope of works includes liaising with adherence counselors and social workers from the Ministry of Health, and also reaching the key populations within the communities that they serve. No? So there are various layers of support. But I just want to add, John and Marlene, that I know we have been speaking a lot about adherence and the medication, but it goes beyond just a pill or 2 pills or 3 pills. It goes beyond the medication, and that's what we're looking to address as best as possible, that comprehensive care of services, that comprehensive support that is needed. Because if you are given medication for 3 months, 6 months, but you have difficulty in accessing a job because of various factors, including the whole issue of discrimination, your disclosure of your status and so forth.
And that's the challenge that we have here. We have estimates, and before getting to that part, through the Global Fund, we've been able to provide some level of support for TB patients and TB HIV clients. Tuberculosis. Because the sustainability is the question. And so if you're trying to provide, let's say it's like about 360 US, somewhere around that number, for a 6 months period. And some of them we did help with food packages. But that's like the sustainability of having, let's say, 1,400 or 1,500 persons who you're trying to assist with $250 a month. And coming out of our budget, it's quite a large figure. So the sustainability of this is something that we don't want to encourage, or are quite what we call in a gray area. What is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health? And where our partners stand? And where is also the responsibility of that person seeking, adhering to medication, getting his health up to standards, and being able to get employed. And so it's something that is quite critical. We're cognizant that at times people expect that the ministry provides everything. And certainly we can't.
You provide the medication for free.
Yes. Everything is for free.
That's one of the things. And the viral load test.
Everything is for free.
How much of the virus you have in your body.
Everything is for free. And these things come at a cost. And we also get, our partners, Global Fund has assisted us. We are decentralizing services. And so we're getting, currently we have a gene export machine that would be testing for viral load, tuberculosis in Orange Walk, Dangriga, Belmopan, and we have 2 at Central Medical Lab. With the current grant that we're working and trying to finalize, we'll be getting another 3, one for, I believe, for Orange Walk, PG, San Ignacio, so we're decentralizing services completely. So and that's part of the biomedical interventions that the ministry wants to, of what we're pursuing, to improve the services that we get. Because many a times you would have the patient comes in, you draw blood, it's not sent in time, there are some issues with the blood, it doesn't reach at the Central Medical Lab on time, it may have coagulation, you can't process. That window period that was supposed to be sent because of transportation has become a concern. And so the best approach is to decentralize services. So you come into our health facility, and the instruction is for the adherence counselor, social workers, medical officer. That person should not leave our facility without giving that blood sample and getting his test done that same day.
Let me, it's challenging, because this is another one of these big topics with lots of different elements, right? So there's the idea of getting as many people tested as possible so they know their status. Those who are, and this goes back to, I believe you're 1990. Yeah,
390s,
It's 90%, remind me, tested.
And knowing the status.
And knowing their status. 90%
of the 90 tested on treatment.
On treatment, and 90%
of those on treatment having a viral load suppression.
All right, and that was a goal set out. I know it was within the region.
UNAIDS.
UNAIDS.
For 2020.
For 2020, and then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
But I use that as a jumping point to say that these are all the things that you're working towards, but the core issue in getting tested, getting treatment, staying on treatment, testing for viral load, has to do with the discrimination. And I see your first statement in your on your shirt for the team is end inequalities, end AIDS, end pandemics.
Wow.
Now, we know what's happening. We know people are scared to know their status. People are scared to be associated with getting the medication. And when they are open and disclosed, they're very often discriminated from things like jobs, sometimes ostracized from their families.
That's correct.
And these things still happen today.
Yes.
Yes, they do. And you hit the nail on the head in terms of one of the biggest barriers that has been identified, and there are several studies, commissioned locally, regionally, internationally, that points to one of the biggest barriers being the whole issue of stigma and discrimination. And what is even worse, John and Marlene, is the issue of perceived stigma and discrimination. So you go to a Ministry of Health facility, and maybe because of a previous experience, you say, I wonder if they will treat me the same way. So I say, maybe you hesitate and say, you know what, well, let me try tomorrow. Or you see a particular doctor, and I say, you know what, well, let me come back tomorrow. And then you leave, you don't come back, so that the perceived stigma discrimination is even worse than the real one. And we always preach, about, leaving no one behind. But we are in fact leaving people behind. And the people some of the populations that are being left behind are the key populations, including men who have sex with men, transgender persons, sex workers, young people. We had a study the other day commissioned under the NAC that shows high levels of transactional sex, in young people, making them even more vulnerable to HIV.
And can we just qualify what that means? Transactional sex means someone is providing sexual services and receiving money or something in kind.
Right, that's correct.
Money, so maybe you pay my rent or my family's education bills.
Marlene, in one of the studies, and it's so appalling, it's so sad, down south, in the banana plantations where we have a lot of migrants, there are cases of women engaging in sex for a plate of food, for $10, for $5 to feed their children. Young people, see the latest phone, they can't afford it. They engage in, sexual favors to purchase the high-end phone, the tennis, and so forth. So these things are real. These things are real.
But we don't talk about
exactly.
them.
In 2019, we did a study with support of Global Fund into at-risk population, which was provided by, the monies were provided by Gilead. And Gilead is one of the companies who's at the forefront of providing the Truvada or Truvada, not this blue pill, these pills for the men who have sex with men population to decrease the risk of HIV, which is basically the concept of pre-exposure prophylaxis. Now that study particularly showed it was geared up for persons for 15 and above, youths at risk, and showing that within that particular tongue, we had a X amount of young men or young persons engaging in risky sexual behavior, having multiple sex partners, having sexually transmitted diseases, which is syphilis. And once you have one, that's a precursor that you're not using, not practicing safe sex. And that we know, and so we've partnered with some other organizations to support us with testing and what we'll be able to provide going forward. And also in one of the slides that I had presented, you would have seen that 15 and above, the female and male population are the ones who are testing positive, and there's an increasing number.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's in our country. And for us, it's 15 to 54 or 15 to 49, that big age group. That's your working population. That's your COVID group.
Exactly, yeah.
It goes back even to say, man, these are the persons who are out there getting multiple sexually transmitted diseases, are at risk, not practicing safe sex. So that's population we may have to go forward and change policies.
And will now face a chronic condition for the rest of their for the rest of their life. There'll be a medication if they test positive and switch to medication.
And I just wanted to clarify that when we speak about the report that Dr. Murray was making reference to in terms of transactional sex, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is female, but there are a lot of cases of young men, young boys engaging in these activities.
And
it's not only with the females, with the girls.
I think we're on the same page today, because I think a part of the issue is that we are not saying what's happening.
Exactly.
I'll tell you the terminology, because I've heard about it. And the reason we say men have sex with men, people automatically think homosexuality,
Right.
and they think that it's your sexual preference. But there's a thing that happens right here in Belize that a lot of young persons are engaged in, and it's called gay for pay. And that's the transactional sex that you're politely trying to say. Some people are having sex with either gender because they are able to get something in return,
That's
not
right.
necessarily money, and they're not sex workers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we know these types of behaviors are taking root in a population that hasn't even started to produce for our country as yet, then we have a very concerning turn that is taking with this.
That's why I wanted to make it clear from the beginning. The AIDS epidemic, it's not an ministerial health problem.
Yeah.
The solution is not a pill. It takes the entire community, the society, in order for us to provide the comprehensive care of services that is needed. You know,
Indeed.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's definitely alarming. It's a conversation to educate people on exactly where we are, our status, and whatnot. Today is also being celebrated as World AIDS Day, and there must be ways that we will be, commemorating this day.
Right.
What are the activities that we've got planned to commemorate?
On our behalf, the Ministry of Health continues to do its annual screening activities in all our facilities across the country.
Okay.
It's basically health fairs when you have your blood pressure check, your blood sugar levels checked, the way they take your BMI, and looking out for various risk factors that a person may present, and that includes also health education regards to HIV and the screening for HIV.
So throughout the country today, this will be happening from what time to what time?
So basically, it depends on the area. I do know that some would start like from 8:30, 9 o'clock, as long as the weather permits. Because it's raining, it's chilly, and so they would be out there. Let's say potentially from 9 in the morning to like 3 in the afternoon.
One of the other significant events that we're having today in commemoration of World AIDS Day is later on, I believe around 10:30, we should be launching our upgraded HIV services application.
Wow.
And again, that is one of the modalities that we adopted, that that with the hope that more people, especially our key populations, could access information. The application provides you with testing sites, and with the Google map, it allows you to navigate to the nearest testing site. It provides updates in terms of HIV and access to partners and their websites and emails and so forth. So that is an initiative that we felt, we need to do things differently, and that's one of the modalities that we want to
So we're looking at learning about access to services through new technology.
That's correct.
Revamped technology that will be launched. Access to testing, which what's the ideal person who should go out and get tested?
Well, for me, it would be the general population, but particularly you as within your own concept of your own risk. You know what you've been practicing. So not to just zoom into one particular person. I believe any person in our entire country who deems himself or has been practicing risky sexual behavior should go get tested. So.
And for the persons who are living with HIV, there are about what, 3,000?
We have an estimated
known.
There's a UNAIDS estimate that talks about 5,400 plus persons in the country, with data showing that we have approximately 3,400 persons plus that who know their status. Out of that amount, we have about 1,490 persons who are on retention, who are on care and are on ARVs, and out of that amount, we have about 545 persons who have viral suppression. So when you look at your cascade, and this
that's the 1990 that we're referring to. We're far.
So for us, it's challenging. So you have gaps.
So that's like about 50-50-30.
That's the values there. It's for us. It's not something enlightening. It's something that I know we need financing. We need consciousness. We need that level of discrimination and stigma, health-seeking behavior from those who are affected to come in and get our medications.
Yeah.
We always try to improve the services that we give to our population. And like you said, if you think that the Ministry of Health facilities have some level of stigma and discrimination, listen, we try to advocate for our persons who you think may be discriminating, but that's, as you rightfully said, you already enter our compound being skeptical. And I won't be able to take that away from you, or that mentality, if you don't reach out to us and we have a conversation.
And the messaging has to be difficult, because I was telling you, during the break, one of the things, I know in my lifetime, I've seen it, very young, we heard of HIV/AIDS as this deadly disease. If you catch it, you will die. And that's because it was really, it came to light in the 80s. And now we know that it is more of a chronic condition, and with the right treatment, you can be able to suppress the viral load. So here you are saying you can live and get to a point of viral suppression, but then you're also telling people, don't engage in risky behavior, you don't want to catch it. That's a tough message.
That's a tough message indeed.
And just let me say, and it's a good thing you pointed out that situation there, because in terms of education, knowledge, Belizeans have a high level of knowledge when it comes to HIV, how it's transmitted, how you can catch it, and so forth. The problem lies in behavior change of behavior, and that is what we need to work on. It's not difficult. It's not easy. Sorry, it's difficult. For example, you're hypertensive. The first thing the doctor tells you, cut down on your salt and so forth. But is that something that you'll do overnight? No, it takes long.
It takes a while. Yes.
It takes a while for you to change that lifestyle, and that is what is needed. That change in behavior to change your lifestyle, and it's not easy.
Sexual education comes with something that you start from the home. It starts at an early age. It also starts with the person's seeking and having that element of protection, that extra protection at all times. It also starts with, for example, we know that there's a shift, let me use the word shift, in the practices within key populations, as you rightfully said. We understand that to a certain point, the lesbian society or the lesbian group are actually having sex with those who are said that I'm an MSM. And so they're practicing anal intercourse. And so there's a shift in some issues and some practices, but the risk is still there. So it's not being defined completely as to what I am, but the risk comes with what I do, and not using that extra layer of protection.
Correct.
And I think, and you guys are totally right. I know that the time is just going by just like that, but you're totally right in terms of having the conversation in the home. But as parents, we still find having to talk about HIV and AIDS as something that constitutes sex. Because we're so afraid to talk about that sex word within the household, which we're actually holding the children at ransom for them not to be educated on how they're able to carry themselves. So what would be your message to parents in terms of having that conversation?
And in addition, John, to mention that age of sexual debut is low as 14 and 15. But yet we don't want to have that conversation with our children.
And the data is there.
And the data is there. Studies are telling you.
When Belizean children start to
engaging in sex as early as 14 and 15. So our message to them is, let's use the opportunity, especially with COVID and the lockdowns and being at home, more time with your kids, your teenagers. Have the discussion in terms of protection, in terms of knowing, how it's transmitted, how you can get protected and so forth. And like I said at the beginning, this has to be a comprehensive approach. It has to be done starting with the families, in the schools, universities, the churches, the communities. So it's a collective approach. And I want to end by saying that AIDS is everybody's business, because in the end, it has a cost and it has a toll on our economy as well.
One of the biggest challenges that you said, and this goes back to that big gap that we have in that a person's being linked to care and accessing care or being retained in care. Is this concept of internal discrimination or stigma. And not wanting to come out because of various factors. You're also talking about non-disclosure between couples. and that exists a lot. And so, you know, they come, they call us, they hide their pills, they ask my colleagues, listen, take it from me, put it somewhere else, just some manner of getting the medications and not being disclosed. So going forward, that's why we, as you said before, education of the community is you can bring out all the messages, you can spend thousands of dollars in educating the general population, videos, pamphlets, all mechanisms. But if that person is not receptive and doesn't identify himself or says, look, I have the disease, let me reach out to persons, then that's where we have a gap. We've had challenges in person even assisting us, because I know you reached out and you wanted someone to come with us. But that's a big challenge for us.
There are a few who are very vocal, but not many. And I appreciate that. I mean, we did one year have a very heartbreaking story from a person living with HIV, and also a father who spoke of how the very same stigma led his son to come off medication and eventually pass away. While he knew his status, open about his status, lost his job, ostracized by friends, and then stopped medication and lost his life. So this is a very real situation.
So those are the stories that we get at the
the reality of HIV in our country is quite depressing.
I know.
Since 19 years now, I've been dealing with HIV since then. And I was, as an internal medicine specialist being on the ground a few years ago, it's quite dramatic when you see your patients coming to you. They're not taking their medications. You go there on a weekly basis to see them. And the support from the community, the support from their own relatives is not there. And so that big picture, of which I believe hundreds of our friends and brothers and sisters have gone through that. And it will continue unless the society begins to identify themselves and educate themselves. Look, HIV doesn't kill. That person can hug you, that person can kiss you, that person can be your friend across the board without anything. And until we get to that conscious level, I believe we may then improve as a society.
That's a great way to sum it up. We're completely out of time.
So testing takes place today. Launch of the new app takes place today. Anything else we need to put on our calendar?
Pretty soon, as a matter of fact, I think from tonight we should be airing the message by joint message by the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño, and Special Envoy Mrs. Briceño on in commemoration of World AIDS Day. And we're also working on finalizing a few videos with risk reduction messages. So those should be aired in the next coming weeks as well. So quite a lot of things happening with the work of PNACM.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and reminding us once again about the population that is living with HIV and the continued risks that we have in our country. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Francis, Murray, of course, Giovanni, thank you guys so very much. Enrique, actually, we thank you so very much. It was a great conversation. Wishing you a great day. We're about to take a break, though. When we come back, we'll be discussing the new COVID-19 app. You guys didn't know? Stick around. You'll find out when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. postpaid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Hi, I'm Chef Sean Quillen. I love cooked fish fillet, and I prefer to get my fish straight at the fish market right here at Conchel Bay. But you see, sometimes you come out here and you don't know what you're getting. The fish has no label, it has no patch of skin. But don't worry about it. I am here today to teach you how to avoid fish fraud. When purchasing your fillet, remember to look out for the patch of skin required by law. Or you could tell them by the physical characteristics. Long and slender, barracuda. Nice white meat, hagfish. The deep bloodline from the bow to the stand, that is jack. When buying in bulk or buying out of a bag, make sure to inspect each fillet individually to avoid what we call in a Creole, pussy in a bag. What a pussy in a bag? Fraud. If that's not the help you, because even for me as a professional chef at this man for 40 years, that's really challenging. All I could tell you is buy from a reputable source or buy it whole. And if all of that's not available to you, just go to fishrighteatright.com and we at Oceana have a fish identification chart. Because guess where you're going now? We talk about bloodline just now one thing, and that's a snapper, right? Classic snapper. What kind of snapper this? This is nurse shark. Nurse shark. Highly illegal. No make they trick you, no make you buy pussy in a bag. Do the right thing. Fish right, eat right.
It's almost time when we change the drums for the Christmas bells. And you know that when Christmas season starts, we celebrate big at Channel 5. How big? It's our 30th anniversary. That's right, the Big 3-0. And this year's Gimme 5 will be packed with fun, entertainment, and big giveaways. The show starts on December 6th and runs through December 10th, starting at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Coupons are now available for 25 cents each on our Channel 5 website and at our studios on Coney Drive. Fill out your coupons and bring them into our compound. And remember, starting December 6th, when the phone rings, don't say hello, say, "Gimme 5." Gimme 5.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our third and final segment for the morning, and this one definitely a conversation we need to have. There is a new COVID-19 app that has been launched by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Officially rules out the COVID-19 app. In to talk to us about it, Dr. Natalia Larga-Espada-Bear, Technical Advisor, Maternal and Child Health Care with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Good morning and welcome.
Thanks, Mr. John. Good morning to everyone. I will be sharing with you all some pictures about the app, the vaccination record app.
I could remember, think about a few months ago, this app just came on stream and everybody was talking about it. It got hot. Then the minister said, hey, we're working on it. We're just working on it. Where are we today with the COVID-19 app? It's the new thing. Tell us.
Okay. Well, the app was finally launched on the 29th of November. And it's a convenient and secure way to carry around your vaccination card and your vaccination record. It does not substitute the vaccination card, so people have the option to either use the digital vaccination record with the QR code, or they continue to have their paper vaccination card with them.
Okay. So what this official launch means is that now once you have taken your vaccination here in Belize through our system, that you would have a record of the vaccination in the app itself.
Yes. The launch means that now you can download the app and enter the information that is required for you to retrieve your vaccination record. That is what we mean by the launching of the app now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I was one of those that didn't get access when the app was being tested.
Yes.
And I have been checking periodically because it's a lot easier. And there you go. Now my vaccination record
is on there.
You're able to see very clearly.
Well.
That I was vaccinated, the date for dose 1, the date for dose 2, and there is a QR code there, Doc, and you said that this is something that you encourage other institutions that require vaccination, they can scan that.
Yes, that's correct. And even if you are having family members coming over or persons coming over to your home, you can scan their record.
So, and that's a key thing. So if it's a restaurant, for example, we could come back to this one again that I have here.
Okay.
Right? This is what we have on my phone. And if I wanted to now check every person that comes into my home, for example, I'm going to show you. So let's show the phone.
All right.
If I wanted to show everybody who is, there we go.
There you go.
I would then tap that,
and
then I can scan. If John had his one on his phone, I can scan John's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right. So all right. Before we continue on, tell us.
You're excited about
yes, because I want to download the app right now as we speak. So what do I look for primarily?
Okay, so once you are scanning the QR code, the one that is on screen, then that will carry you to download the app. You can download it either on Apple
or
an Android phone.
Okay, so what do I type in?
Store. Sorry?
What do I type in? Because I'm typing.
MOHW Health Pass.
Okay. MOHW Health Pass. Okay.
You can also search it on Google. You can also access it at www.health.gov.bc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this information, then once you put in your social security number, or do people know their BHIS number?
Yes, we give persons an ID, a small ID with the BHIS number. But if they don't know the BHIS number, the social security number work perfect for retrieving the record. And then you need to also enter your date of birth.
Okay. And then it pulls up the information that is in the ministry system.
Okay.
Yes. It pulls the data directly from the Belize Health Information System or the BHIS.
Okay. So, Doc, this is one of the opportunities to make the requirement of showing proof of vaccination easier for persons. But you said very early on, some places are still allowed to ask for a paper reference.
It's optional, they should accept both the digital and the paper form of the vaccination record.
Okay. Now, this information gets updated, for example, when I can get my booster, it would then automatically update it, or I would have to do that?
In regards to the booster is not there yet available.
Okay.
We'll probably have that data for you around 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And if persons have problems accessing their record, there are several things they can do. One is to visit their nearest health facility.
Okay.
Or also they can send a message or send a photo of their vaccination card. So the 669-8843 or 613-1096. Both of them are WhatsApp numbers.
Okay.
Or if they find a record and they see like there is an error or something that needs to be corrected, then also visit their nearest health facility and send text to those two WhatsApp numbers.
Okay.
And since the launch of the app, have you found a lot of persons who have downloaded it and started to use it?
I don't have the number exactly right now and to know how many persons have downloaded.
Okay.
But a word of caution, we have administered to date 410,988 doses of COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay.
So we have a team of persons working tirelessly entering the data, updating the data in the BHIS. So we have more than 90% of records updated.
Okay.
The system needs to be updated on a 24-hour basis. So if you're having issues with your vaccination record using the app, and we need to do a verification or enter the data or make a correction, then we're asking for you to please go back and retry 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
And it will be a little bit more if it's a weekend, because every 24 hours, whatever we enter right now at this moment, you won't see it until midnight is the uploading of that data.
Okay.
Okay.
So because we are foreseeing that there might be a few hundred maybe of people that calling in, so 24 to 48 hours is a good amount of time.
So if you can't get access, make contact, and once you've made contact, it will take some time to get those glitches sorted.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Doc, you know, the idea behind this, I think, is definitely making it a bit easier, but it also allows for a more trustworthy reference for people who are checking vaccination records as well.
Yes, and not only locally, but also abroad.
Okay.
For those persons that are traveling, please make sure that you check it before you travel, because as I mentioned earlier, if you find a problem, then if you're abroad, you will still have to wait 2 to 24 hours or more. So make sure that your record is correct and that you don't need to check anything.
All right. So now we're, I'm trying to get this downloaded, but nonetheless, Doc, with respect to while we're on the app, I must divert slightly to make mention, because people are actually asking, how long can I wait before I get my my booster shot for the vaccine?
Booster shots are available for persons 18 years and older. If the person have received 2 doses of AstraZeneca, we have moved the timing for the booster from 5 months to 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So 3 months after, then you get your booster. Same for Pfizer. 3 months after second dose, you can get your booster. In the case of the Johnson, which is 1 dose, then 2 months after receiving the Johnson vaccine, you can get your booster.
Okay. And so that's basically all adults are able to get a booster at this time. Are we seeing good numbers with people going in to get their booster?
Yeah.
We have approximately 8,000 persons that already access the booster doses.
Okay.
That's
we talked about how long after the vaccine, how long after a person has recovered from COVID?
Yeah.
Can they wait, or should they wait to get their booster?
Okay. In regards to that, there are 2 criteria they need to consider. The first one is 1 month after laboratory diagnosis, then they can look for getting vaccinated.
Okay.
If they were ill for more than 1 month, then they would need to check with their treating physician, when they can get the vaccine. So if it's first dose, after the first month, that's it. You can go straight into getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
If it's second dose, you still have to wait a month, but then you need to measure the timing. Is it timing for your second dose? If you pass the timing for the second dose, then whenever after the month, you can get it immediately.
Okay. What about for those who were fully vaccinated and contracted COVID, have been recovered? How long after can they get a booster?
Same timing, 1 month after.
1 month after
laboratory diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what other guidelines? I was asking you. You know, I was telling you I'm still recovering from a cold. Some of these things you have to be in proper health before you go out and get your booster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You recommend that you have no illness, no, at that moment.
Okay. Good. And are the side effects for the booster the same as those we've seen before?
With the increase in the number of doses that a person receives, the side effects tend to be lesser.
Oh, okay.
And if you do get symptoms, it's milder.
Okay.
Even better.
Wow.
All right. So no, I won't have any achy arms
Yeah,
this time.
I was thinking about it as well. But nonetheless, these boosters, they're across the country. We've got vaccination clinics across the country.
Yes.
Okay.
Vaccination sites are open on a daily basis in the towns or large communities. And then the teams are also doing visits to the rural communities offering the vaccine. We have actually a campaign ongoing right now where we have a team of persons that receive training that are going house to house, encouraging and clarifying doubts from the population for them to access the vaccines.
And for pregnant women, I know that still is a vulnerable group of concern. What's the advice for boosters there? Pregnant or recent women who recently delivered?
Yeah, there's no distinction for pregnant women when it comes to boosters.
Okay.
Once they're 18 years and older, then they just follow the recommendation for the boosters in general.
All right. Well, I believe that you've clarified a lot of the questions that are being asked, because we get these questions on a daily basis indeed. And
we
the app
keep chance in your segment, Dr. Baer, to ask you some booster questions. But we do know that, of course, you are here to tell us about the new Ministry of Health Pass. Yeah. I do want to say something, though, because you mentioned it very quickly. You said if we're using it internationally. There are some countries that want a verification from their ministry, from a local Ministry of Health, if, let's say, the type of vaccine we received isn't on their list of approved ones. Will this app supplement?
Well, the app is a secure way of verifying that a person has been effectively vaccinated, no?
Okay.
As it is pulling it from a source that is highly secure.
Yeah.
Okay. Recognizable, yes. Official.
Yeah, an official source.
So, but the recommendations, no, not the recommendations, the issue of countries accepting the World Health Organization approved vaccines, that still stands. I think the only one that we may have a bit of conflict with is Sinopharm.
Okay.
Especially traveling to the US, no?
Okay.
Not all countries are accepting that one.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you'd like for us to know at this juncture?
Well, it is important for us to get vaccinated. We are at 45% with fully vaccinated. With the variants of concern that are circulating and threatening to circulate in Belize, now more than ever is important for us to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
There were 2 ways to get antibodies to fight off the infection, and that's having the natural infection, natural immunity, or getting your immunity through vaccines. But the difference is that, why expose yourself to the disease when we know that it is a systemic disease? It comes with complications. We can't say exactly who will have complications and who not. We know that comorbidities play a key role, no? Yeah. Then you have the risk of dying also. So why run that risk? And then we're talking now about COVID-19 syndrome after even after a person is clinically and by laboratory declared recovered, they have no signs and symptoms compatible to COVID-19 or secondary to COVID-19.
Wow.
So again, the vaccine is there available.
I've heard of that, Doc.
If you get symptoms, it will last 1 or 2 days, 3 days. But if you get the infection, then you know it's weeks of illness, complications. So just we need everyone for us to be able to fight whatever other variant comes to be released.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. You froze just for a moment, and I want to make sure that that point is clear, where people are asymptomatic in the period that they're positive, but then develop, I know 2 persons, COVID pneumonia after they've recovered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this,
that's true, yes.
So that's why you are imparting this message about vaccinating and still maintaining all
your social distance, wear your mask.
Protocols.
Yeah.
And yes, World Health Organization is recommending that we get vaccinated, we follow the public health measures, and wearing the mask properly, covering nose and chin, the physical distancing, washing our hands often, cleaning down surfaces.
Yeah.
And the next important thing is, if you are ill, self-isolate. Get tested and self-isolate.
Yeah.
That is what. Remember, the virus, irrespective of the variant of concern that may emerge, the transmission is person to person. So the only way we can contribute to stop it is self-isolating if we're ill. Get tested and identify all those persons that are exposed so that the Ministry of Health and Wellness can contact them and go through the process of the contact tracing with them.
All right. Indeed. And Doc, let me put you on the spot. So, you know, I know people are watching the new variant and they're saying, you know, there's very, very early, like I saw it this morning, some countries are saying that the vaccines are holding up to Omicron. They're seeing that so far. Do we have any official data yet that you could share?
Well, the evidence so far is that the vaccines are protecting against these different variants.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Even more the reason to go get your vaccination.
Get your vaccination or get and your booster.
Yes.
All right. Doc, we're so thankful that you were able to join us this morning to share with us about this new COVID-19 app and, of course, answering some of the questions that people are actually asking out there. Very, very important. Thank you so very much, Doc.
Thank you very much, too.
All right.
All right.
Stay safe.
Okay.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our final break. When we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.
Like other vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccines being developed have been through the same trial phases and rigorous process required for all vaccines. Global efforts on the development of the vaccines are built on existing research from previous coronaviruses like MERS and SARS-1. As COVID-19 vaccines are approved for their broad use in the population, be reassured that they will continue to be monitored to identify any adverse events. Your safety is our top priority. Vaccines bring us closer.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I added a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
It's almost time when we change the drums for the Christmas bells. And you know that when Christmas season starts, we celebrate big at Channel 5. How big? It's our 30th anniversary. That's right, the Big 3-0. And this year's Gimme 5 will be packed with fun, entertainment, and big giveaways. The show starts on December 6th and runs through December 10th, starting at 7:30 p.m. nightly. Coupons are now available for 25 cents each on our Channel 5 website and at our studios on Coney Drive. Fill out your coupons and bring them into our compound. And remember, starting December 6th, when the phone rings, don't say hello, say, "Gimme 5." Gimme 5.
We're back.
And just like that, we have come to the end of our show for today. We'd like to say a big thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. And as per usual, we'd like to thank you. Without you, this is not possible. You actually wake up, open your eyes, and start your morning right with us. If you've got any questions, any concerns at all, you could drop us a line at oye@channel5believe.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelieve.
And you could join us again tomorrow morning when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
As per usual, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Believe.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.